Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Paul, combat veteran, MMA fighter, YouTuber, and today we are checking out maybe one of the greatest 40K fan films of all time. Well, the trailer anyway. This is the Death of Hope Trailer 1. You know, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right, and we are going to start at the beginning. Let's get into it. All right, the lengthy terms and conditions and legal disclaimer to avoid getting sued by GW probably won't work. Oh, 40K contains violence? I love how almost every 40K fan film contains a version of this, though usually it's like, in the darkness of the future, war, it consumes all things. Instead, it's just like, violence might occur, friends. They should display that at the moment of birth of every creature in the 40K universe. The following lifetime will contain violence. Oh, here it is. Since the Battle of Kalth, the sons of Angron and Rogar launched a bloody crusade through the Eastern Galaxy, carving their way through the 500 worlds of Ultramar. So, this is 30K. That means that Ultramar is not home of the Ultramarines. It's home of the 5th Legion? The 1st Legion? Okay, first off, this animation is sick. This is awesome. I wish, oh my gosh. What was the one with Grimaldus? I watched it in like 7 parts. Anyway, the one that was animated like out of someone's sketchbook. I wish it was done like this.
They will answer for this.
You know, Horus Heresy fan film.
Mercy for the weak! These traitors know no bounds.
They were my brothers, but no longer.
Yeah, you know, I really like the fact that it seems like this level of, you know, mobility and power, it really captures it. Like, it's really hard, actually, to express what sort of is the theory behind Space Marines and their power armor, which is that it has a level of fluid motion that is closer to that of a large animal, but it has the mechanical and armored nature, you know, and given that the armor itself is inert. It's not like a rhinoceros who is flesh and blood, right? But it's the size of a rhinoceros and possibly like the mobility of an animal like that, but just not organic, right? And I feel like this did a really great job of sort of capturing that sort of mobility, right? Like, it seems logical that power armor would not be necessarily perfectly dexterous, but it would be able to enhance the power behind movements, right? So a swing would be harder, but the power armor may not be able to, say, like, pick the petals off a flower really well. Okay, what I also think is interesting is this idea of unsuspecting cities having invading armies approach it. Now, I honestly used to say that most cities would be evacuated prior to a large-scale invasion. If not evacuated, then the citizens would be in bunkers or secured somehow. But honestly, over the past year or two, I've read more and more sources about the way people behave in the face of crises, and the ability of people to ignore the threats and what's called the normalcy bias. And normalcy bias is the sort of tendency of people to deal with complex or scary situations by ignoring them and trying to continue on with business as usual. And this is some sort of human compulsion that shows up a lot, right? There's stories about the Battle of Stalingrad where even as the air raid sirens were sounding, people were still sort of tanning on the banks of the Volga and just sort of going about their daily lives, right? There's stories from war reporters in Beirut in Lebanon during the height of the crisis where you would hear the artillery sounding outside the city, and yet people still would just go about their day-to-day lives because the reality of what to do was so unclear, right? There wasn't a clear solution, and the threats were just far enough away that you could ignore them. And deep down, psychologically, people want to ignore them, right? We want to pretend these sort of threats will go away. Obviously, if there's one thing we've seen in the past year and a half, it's that a lot of people will not just cling to doing things the normal way, even in the face of a crisis, but will actually actively fight against any efforts to respond to it or change anything about what constitutes normal life. So all that to say, the idea that a huge fleet of Chaos Space Marines dropping on a world would encounter a bunch of civilians out in the open, I no longer consider a deeply unrealistic aspect. I would not be surprised in the least if all of these people had ample warning that a large invasion fleet was coming, that people should stay in their homes, and that, a third or more of the residents of this world were just like, no, I don't need to. They always say this is going to happen. Or like, I'm going to get all my food later. We've got days before they show up. And now, obviously, these people are paying for their hubris by running for their lives from Chaos Space Marines.
Your fight is with me, traitor.
Oh, it's Terminator armor. I was like, okay, these guys are moving way more, lumberously, but it's probably because they're Terminators.
War dog! Come on, then, elements, little curs!
Okay, that's kind of cool. I wonder how much of this is inspired by real swordplay. I want to say that lunging, stabbing motion may actually come from actual manuals of European swordsmanship. It seems really familiar. And what's interesting is there actually are some written records of how sword dueling was done. So we can sort of infer how they may have actually fought with the sword. Not pictured 17 people with their phones out filming instead of running away. Maybe that's a 2021 problem, but I feel like it's more like just a human being problem.
Take me from my home, and I will sail to the stars of your empire. I will serve as a son must serve. But let Kulkis stand as I have shaped it. A planet of peace and prosperity.
I will kill you where you stand, loyalist scum. Come, meet your death, cousins.
That's interesting. I guess they all would call each other cousins.
Cousins.
I mean, I forget that in 30K, right, there was no Imperial Guard, right? Regular humans did not engage in military affairs. It was only after the Heresy that the Imperium realized it couldn't risk creating armies of Space Marines, and so was stuck raising armies of regular humans.
Eliminators. Rise.
I love how he has like 15 different models of progressively bigger Terminator armor. What is this heresy? Which I wonder if that's part of the meme. If that's like some sort of reference to the, what is this heresy meme? Okay, guys, wow, I am not going to lie to you. I'm kind of amped about this. Let's get this up. Yeah, I think, the quality is awesome. Just phenomenal. It seems like the audio mixing was really good, but again, I've got the mega big headphones on, so maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I feel like they really captured the chaos that would ensue with a force-on-force battle of Space Marines. Other than that, guys, I think that's all I had for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you didn't notice, I rolled out 2 new coffee mugs. Check the merch store. Also, of course, come join us on the Discord. It's a lot of fun. Check out the podcast and let me know if you have other ideas for the podcast that you think would be interesting for me to talk about. And other than that, the link to all that stuff is in the description. Other than that, guys, thanks so much, and I will see you next time.